Hey, it's HQ back at it again. So the top counterintelligence person quit, who's right behind Tulsi Gabbard, right below Tulsi Gabbard. Okay, so we need to slow down this. We need to slow this down a little bit, right? Because what happened is not a small thing, and people are treating it like it's just another headline. This is just another thing that happened, and it's not. You got a top counter-terrorism official, someone whose entire job it is to evaluate threats, walking away, not retiring, not reassigning, walking away. And he's saying he cannot support this. There is no imminent threat. I told y'all that Tulsi Gabbard last year told Donald Trump that there was no imminent threat from Iran and they threw her ass in the closet. I told y'all that. And so she didn't talk no more. Because, check this out, because even when you get into politics, before you get into opinions and things like that, you need to understand who this person who quit is. This is not a random employee. This is the head of the National Counterterrorism Center. And what does that mean in plain English? That means he is the person sitting there taking in intelligence from everywhere. CIA, NSA, military intelligence, all of it, and answering one question. Is this a threat? Does any of this material, any of this inventory come across as a threat? That's his job. He's not the guy out there in the field talking to people, spying on people. He's not the one reading what the spies bring back. This dude who quit, he's the one looking at satellite data, reports, human intelligence, signals intelligence, and deciding, do we act or do we not act? That's who this dude is who quit. So when that person walks out the door, walks out the Trump administration and says there is no imminent threat, you don't just scroll past that. You just don't look at that and say, oh, it's just another day. No, you don't treat that like noise. You stop and you wonder, why is the top dog saying Iran was not a threat? So what's going on? Okay. Now we can layer something on top of that makes it even more serious. Because this is not the first time we heard this, and y'all know it. As I said a minute ago, the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, I always get that name mixed up. The person overseeing the entire intelligence community also said there was no imminent threat from Iran. You have to think about this. Two people, two different roles, two different moments in time, same conclusion. No imminent threat. Iran was no imminent threat. So now you got to ask yourself, did the threat just suddenly appear out of the blue? Did Iran just become a threat all of a sudden? What narrative changed? Because both of these things cannot be true at the same time. Iran cannot be a threat and not be a threat all at the same time. And this is where people get uncomfortable, because if the people whose job it is to confirm threats against the United States are saying there is no threat, then what are we basing our decision to go over there and fight in Iran on? What are we basing our decisions on? That's the question nobody wants to understand. Nobody wants to answer. Nobody wants to ask Donald Trump. Why is it that the two people that you employed to tell us if there's threats in the world against us, telling us there is no threats against us, and yet you guys are going against what that person said? Okay. That should make everybody pay attention. Our allies said there was no threat. Our allies also, because whenever the United States is facing real, undeniable threat, something immediate, something clear, what happens? Our allies jump in without hesitation. No ifs, ands, or buts. You see everybody being aligned. You see the UK come out, NATO come out, Germany come out, France come out. You see a coalition. The minute you see statements like, we stand with the United States, that's what it looks like when something is real and urgent. That's when there's real threats. That's what it looked like after 9/11. That's what it looked like when the threat is undeniable. But look around us right now. Where are our allies right now? Where's the UK standing shoulder to shoulder with us? Where's NATO saying? Where's the urgency? It's not there. And that matters because these countries are not guessing. They have intelligence agencies too. They see the same region. They monitor the same movements. They analyze the same risks. So if they're not rushing to stand beside the United States in this bullshit, you have to ask yourself, what are they saying or not saying that makes them hesitate? Now connect the two things. On the inside, you got a top threat evaluator saying there's no immediate threat. On the outside, you've got allies. You got Israel talking about we have a threat, and you have the ally Israel saying you have a threat, and you have other allies saying we don't have a threat. We're not about to jump in. That is not a coincidence. This is a signal. I need people to understand this one thing because it's not what strength looks like. This is what misalignment looks like. And misalignment, when you're talking about war, is very dangerous. Okay, people might not like this, but it needs to be said. This is not about whether you support Trump or not. This is not about left or right, because the moment you reduce this to politics, you miss the bigger picture right here. The bigger picture is this. Are decisions being made based on verified evidence? Did we go to war based on verified evidence, or did we go to war based on something else? Because when the people close to the intelligence are stepping back, are resigning, are contradicting the narrative, you don't ignore that. You investigate that. You question that. Now let's think about the consequences here, because this is not abstract in any way, shape, or form. This is not just talk. If this escalates, if this war escalates, we're talking about American troops, military families, economic fallout, boots on the ground, oil prices, global instability. Regular people feel that first. We feel it first, not the people making those decisions. And yet the justification, the why, is being challenged from inside the system itself. That's the disconnect. Now let's go a step deeper, shall we? Because people are going to say, well, maybe he's just one guy. Maybe that this intelligence guy is just one guy saying there is no immediate threat. No, don't minimize this shit. This is not just one guy. This is a person whose job it is to validate whether a threat exists. That's the fire alarm going off. That's when the fire alarm goes off. And the person responsible for detecting fire says there is no fire. And everybody else is still yelling, fire, fire, fire. At some point, you got to ask, who's right? And then you got another added layer. Last year, the top intelligence coordinator said the same thing. Tulsi Gabbard, no immediate threat. So again, what changed between now and last year when it wasn't an immediate threat? Did the intelligence change, or did the interpretation of that intelligence change? Because those are two very different things. And one of them should concern you a lot more than the other do. Now let's come back to our allies one more time, because this is crazy. Our allies don't hesitate when the threat is clear. They don't sit back when the evidence is overwhelming. They move, they align, they commit, right? So when they don't, that tells you something. It tells you there's doubt. It tells you there's hesitation. It tells you that Not everyone is seeing things the same way as the United States keeps saying. And when you combine that with internal disagreement, that's not stability, that's uncertainty. And uncertainty is the last place you want to be when you're talking about war. So here's where we are. You have internal voices saying there is no threat. You have external allies saying there is no threat, or looking at their intelligence and saying there's no threat. So there's hesitation and a push towards escalation by Israel or whatever, or these goofies that be on here. That's the situation. Strip away the headlines, strip away the politics. That's what you get. And it should make you think. Because at the end of the day, this comes down to one question only. Is the threat as real? Is the threat real? And why is there disagreement at this level about the threat being real? And if the threat is not clear, why are we moving forward to war? That's it. That's the entire scenario. And until that question is answered clearly, openly, and honestly, people are going to keep feeling like something doesn't add up. Right now, it doesn't. Not completely. And when things don't add up at this level, you can't ignore that. You need to pay attention, because moments like these don't just pass us by. They lead us to somewhere. And the only question is where. War, more war, the Strait of Hormuz, us losing more American lives. This is far from over, y'all. Because Iran saying, I can live without oil. I can live without whatever y'all bring to me. But I tell you what, I'm going to bring this world to a standstill. That's what Iran said. And you know, my son told me a long time ago, he said, Mom, when you know you're at a disadvantage, you got to come out the gate ugly. Come out the gate ugly. I said, son, what does that mean? He said, you can't play fair. Iran is not playing fair. They know that is oil for every country damn near coming up out of that Strait of Hormuz. Iraq ain't finna play fair. Iran is not going to play fair, because you had no business attacking them first. So they said, I raise you. I bet you one, and I'll raise you 10. Now we playing chicken with the freaking United States president. The president is playing chicken with basically a third world country, because he couldn't keep his ass out of somebody else's country. This country is messed up. This is wild. Never know when it's going to end. We never know. But I see y'all in the next one.